No, you're good. I just want to roll over, right?
Did you get my job? Yeah. No, I did something wrong. No. I have to look, but like one of the meetings went down. Something is wrong. So I will look again. I think I would also like to talk to you about something. I don't know what you are, but yeah. I think I had on one. She said I need to sign something.
Nebraska. Oh, yeah, family.
Resolution update. Also, probably should count.
I got my senator report today.
That's good.
What are you thinking on your project?
So right now, looking at budget transparency, Carlson.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, that's one of the ones. Also trying to, looking at trying to find a way to get involved in video multipliers like last week.
No, I absolutely agree. We need better budget transparency.
Well, that's when I first got elected. I was looking at the budget that the public has access to, and it's for fiscal year 19. It doesn't have anything for last year, and so just like that, not having that, as a student, that's very alarming.
Yeah. It's like college.
Yeah. Some of the spending on that one, I don't think it's been because on it outlined a $550,000 budget for theater. And like I enjoy theater myself. I used to be a theater part. It just makes a
We're at a little bit off that because it makes it in terms of a lot of images, so, and the only way that they get these, because theater actually costs which is a problem. So like I think they should do a lot of stuff. I think
You have to sign it.
But then again, you know, it's practice.
So this would be like my first
I think what's pretty interesting is that
last week, this one.
have that all and see why they deserve you know, why we decided, you know, student applications, decided to do this.
and that's one of the things, like, I'm still learning, I'm trying to understand why we decide our budget the way we do. That's one of the things I'm trying to understand. Like, I keep getting vacancies. I'm looking at what's
I'm not sure if there's a spot there.
I'll check on it.
I just sorry.
And then like say what you're doing. It's not too
My family is. I'm from Rochester. But my grandma and my uncle and aunts all live out there. Oh, gotcha.
It's just like going right.
Everybody, your seats. We're gonna get started here in a minute.
And I'm okay with Penn State.
Can we admit onto? Alright, thank you. Alright, I call this meeting into order at 4:06 p.m. Our first order of business is roll call. Senator Swangut.
Here.
Senator Bassnett.
Here.
Senator Hashimoto.
Here.
Senator Chimsey. Senator Carlson.
Here.
Senator Roberts.
Here.
Senator Angie Demby.
Here.
Senator T. Schaefer.
Here.
Senator Hawk.
Here.
Senator Basha. Senator Basha. Senator Osmond.
I'm here.
Senator Waldo.
Here.
Senator Saha.
I'm here.
Senator Rajagopal. Senator Rajagopal. Senator Kogu.
Here.
Senator Kruger. Senator Wynn. Senator Uzefa.
Here.
Senator Wing.
Here.
Senator Nowak.
Howdy.
Senator Flynn.
Here.
Senator Hopwood.
Here.
Senator Hussain.
Here.
Senator Roiger.
Here.
President Stiff. Here. Vice President Severso.
Here.
Speaker Khan. Here. All right, our first order of business is presentations. Do I have Sophie for a presentation?
Hi.
Hello. You have the floor.
Thank you.
Just to give you a little bit of direction, our presentations are 10 minutes long. And after the presentations, we open the floor for questions for the senators. So if any of the senators would have questions, they will ask you at that point.
Great.
And that does not count in your 10 minutes.
Sounds good. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Let's get
Hello,
started.
senators. It's so good to see you all and to be back here. For those of you who don't know, my name is Sophie Hoyseth and I am a Maverick alum. I graduated in 2020 and I was also a student senator for just under 2 years. I had a really good time being on here. I was actually here when both President Stiff and Vice President Spursel first joined on. I remember those days fondly. I just knew they were just going to blow us all away, and they certainly have. I'm so impressed. But yes, I was a residential life senator, and I was also the Student Affairs Committee chair for a bit, and I was on my favorite Student Allocations Committee. I was pretty thrilled when your speaker reached out to me to address you today, and I'm hoping I can share a little bit of wisdom from this position and looking in the hindsight of my experience at MSU and on Senate. The first thing I need to address is that it says YMCA, and I would simply never work for a men's Christian organization. It's the YWCA. It is a women's organization. It's a nonprofit in town that has a mission of eliminating racism and empowering women. And I work in their adult leadership area, which helps increase the potential for women to be leaders in Mankato. We host a women's leadership conference that's actually next week, Women of Distinction, which honors women who are doing great work in our community, and Elizabeth Kearney Women's Leadership Program, which is a 10-month-long leadership program for women in the community. So you can grab your markers now, your pens now, you can just say YWCA. You can see more information at ywcamankato.org. Just a little bit of background about me. I am an American, but I grew up internationally. My parents have been living overseas for the last 30 years, and I graduated high school in Doha, Qatar, in the Middle East, and then moved here to go to college. This gave me the great gift of knowing that things aren't always the same. You know, living overseas gives you that gift of open-mindedness to know that things aren't the way they are now, that it's not the way they always have to be, because we're capable of change and things like that. So that knowledge has been taken with me, and it's given me the knowledge that we are capable of making changes and doing better by our neighbors. I moved to America to be a Maverick and to study. I majored in political science and got my minor in nonprofit leadership, which is what I do now, working in nonprofits. And when I first moved here to America, even though I was American, it was my first time living here. And so to combat that fear and isolation, like I know many of our international students do here, I threw myself into being involved because it's the best way to meet people and to get to know those and to feel less alone. And I also had this goal to make life better for my neighbors and my new friends. I was pretty involved as a resident in my dorm because where you live is the best place to start meeting your neighbors. And Mimi Cronin saw the desire and let me know in the basement of the laundry room in Prescott while watching RuPaul's Drag Race that she was ready to be president and wanted me to run with her party. Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. And so then I got to be on Senate. It was super fun. And it taught me three main things that I want to talk about today. So you can write down my three main things. The first one is to ask good questions. When you're in Senate, one of the things you want to do is make life better for your neighbors, something I love to do, and you got to ask good questions. You sense something might be up. This doesn't smell right, it doesn't feel good. Something's not working for me and my friends. And so you go to people and you ask the right questions. Who's in charge? Who do I talk to? Why is it this way? What's going on? And you just become a really curious mind, and it helps you get to the root of it. The thing digging about this helped me get a deep appreciation for MSU and learn a lot, and it led me to also meeting incredible people. I remember one time I set up a meeting with Dr. Jones over here about mental health issues, which I was super passionate about because I knew he was the man to go to for questions, and I got this incredible lesson about people who, knowing when you're doing these sort of things that not everyone can be a winner all the time, and you have to balance and spread the love throughout your university and your town, and that I totally carry with me into my work today. The second thing is that committees are where the real action happens. This is totally my Leslie Knope passion project, in that this is a great meeting. You come here, you get to see all these important people around the table, you get to wave your placard, which feels very fancy, there's a lot of pomp and circumstance, but it's a formality to share updates about what's going on. It's not where the real work is happening. The real work is happening in committees outside of this room. And being engaged in those committees is the best way you can make a difference for your friends and neighbors, I promise. That's where you put in the work, where you meet people, where you get to do things. I know there's a lot of faculty and staff that ask for student and faculty to sit on committees outside of here. And I know it can be a lot of work and time outside of the other things you're doing in class, but they're asking for your opinion and for your voice, and that's where you can make a real difference. I have a big love in my heart for Student Allocations Committee. I know it's a big task, right, Mark? It's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, but it's actually year 20, and you have the ability to handle a budget like that. I mean, it was way more power than 20-year-olds should ever be tasked to have, but it was a ton of fun, and we learned a ton. And when I graduated college, and I was hiring for nonprofits, well, do you have any budgeting experience? I could say I had experience working with a team, budgeting $4 million that went to different organizations that made a difference on campus. And that was a huge asset when I got hired to my first job. So I would say committees are where the real work happens. My third and last piece of advice is the more you learn about something, the more you appreciate it, which links to my committees and questions part. When I was at MSU, I would learn things about why something was a little fishy or it didn't look right to me. And I would, in the end, always find a person, not always, but most of the time, find a person who is smart and passionate and capable and eager to look at the problem with you. And that made me feel so loved and welcomed here. And it also helps me feel more hope to be able to work towards the problems that we're facing in this university, in this city, in this state, in our country, and in our world. It applies to everything. It applies to policy, it applies to science, it applies to business. The more you learn and dig into something, the more you can appreciate it and come at the problems with love and appreciation. And I really believe that. I used all these lessons about asking good questions, joining committees, and appreciating what's around me to find success in my post-grad life. Today I get to work in nonprofits that are focused on making change and fostering good neighbors. And I hope that you can use these lessons in your time to be able to do the same here and outside of MSU. That's my little spiel. I would love to be able to open up to questions if you have any.
Thank you so much. At this point, I will take questions, starting with Vice President Worsel.
Sophie, thank you so much for coming here today. You've always been an amazing leader on this campus, and it's inspiring to watch your leadership continue in the community and on this campus, even though you graduated.
Thanks.
But my question is, there's a lot of senators here that are new to this experience, that have either our first time. We have very few returning senators, and so most senators are first-time senators. So how do you combat that feeling of that feeling that you don't know enough to start? How do you combat that?
That's a great question, especially for some of our younger senators in the room that too you're coming and you're maybe just out of high school or you're just out of your freshman year of college. It can be super intimidating, especially because professional staff has been here much longer. They have a lot more experience, but they're all in student affairs because they're passionate about students and young people. And so they want you to be interested in what they're doing. They want you to ask thoughtful questions. So I think that's the first one. The second one is that you're coming from a unique background from wherever you were before here that no one else has. And that gives you a voice that's more powerful than other people's because you have that something in you. I also think that you have to think about your constituents and that their voices are inside of you as well, and you need to use them and not just lie wait. And someone else could be using that to be speaking out on behalf of them. So speaking out, thinking about your constituents, I think is huge too. Yeah.
Thank you. President Stiff.
Again, thank you so much for coming in, Sophie. It's a joy to have you back.
Thanks.
So can you talk a little bit more about some of the skills that you've had to transfer over to the YWCA?
Yeah, get it. Well, definitely. I mean, first of all, organizations like big and large, those skills are always transferable. And so when you learn about the makeup of an organization, you can transfer that to wherever you are. I mean, specifically in Student Allocations Committee, you learn about things about payroll and how does a staff person get hired, and all that stuff is really basic knowledge about moving into a new job that you need to know about. I think too, the communication skills that you need to have, the preparedness and timekeeping. I can't tell you how many job interviews you'll get outside of college and they're like, how have you managed multiple projects at the same time? And so to be able to say you were on Student Senate and you worked on these projects while doing schoolwork, it's the perfect example for it. So that's super transferable. I think one of the best parts about our Student Senate is the representation of international students on it, and so being able to say that you've worked with people from a diverse background, that's huge. Being able to collaborate like that, I can't stress enough how cool I think it is that there's a ton of international students on it, and it's gonna make it look really awesome when you're looking for those positions.
Thank you. Do I have any other questions? Senator Bassett?
Just a quick question. You're coming from that international experience, and you've been here and you learn everything from that international experience, right? So I'm also an international student. So what is one thing that you want to give to your younger self? The initial phase you are here, you're doing your stuff here from that overseas experience.
Yeah, what's something that really helped me in it, or repeat your question?
Yeah, what is the one thing you want to give to your younger self?
Oh man, so yeah, I mean, moving is super hard, and a lot of MSU students are domestic students, and they sometimes will travel 2 hours to come here, and that's super intimidating. But I think about 18-year-old me that was sitting in her room in Qatar. I mean, I was thousands and thousands of miles away from where I was, and it was just so scary. And I think I would have told her that it's going to be okay, and that finding community here is going to be a lot easier than I thought it would be. I think I would also warn her that a lot of domestic Mankatoans outside of the university that you get the question, why are you here a lot? Why did you come here? And it's like, you're here too? Like, we all chose to be here. And so I think I would just like prepare her that sometimes people will think that it's weird, and it's not weird. You'll meet tons of people who did move here from far and wide places and chose to make home here. And I think I would tell her that, like, that would happen for me, you know. I'm very lucky that I moved here and fell in love with not just the school, but the city.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Senator Roberts?
So when you were on Senate, and when projects came along, and when you faced like hard roadblocks, how did you overcome them?
That's a good question. I think persistence is definitely one, and knowing that you can send someone multiple emails if they don't respond. I think finding unique and interesting ways to tackle an issue you haven't before. One huge one is students presenting research that maybe someone hasn't considered yet. So like going outside of your way to like look up solutions to problems from, I think this is super nerdy, but like student affairs and college academic journals and things like that. There are other universities that are facing these similar problems, and don't reinvent the wheel, you can look those up too. I think collaborating across like areas is also a huge way to fix these problems. Yeah, those are just some of them. It definitely is difficult, and it's important to keep in mind that the staff is going to be here usually before you start and after you leave, and they might try and just be like, oh, we'll just wait until that one senator's gone and we don't have to worry about it anymore, which is tough. But it's definitely something to consider, that they have this longevity of seeing the problem from a larger lens than you will in your 4 years here, and that expertise sometimes is important to take into consideration.
Vice President Urso?
I have one more question. So being in Senate can be like so vulnerable to, as a 20 to 29, whatever, in this age range, to be working with people, like you said, who have been here forever and have multiple degrees and stuff. And so can you tell me an example of a mistake that you made in Senate and how you like bounced back from it instead of just being like, okay, I could run, but I'm good.
Definitely. Well, I definitely did make a mistake in Senate. I did run from it, which is fine because there was a pandemic, so it ended up working out. It's definitely difficult, and I think though that like you are in college because you want to learn, so to give yourself a little bit of grace, that's completely fine. What's a mistake I had made? Well, I think a lot of the stuff was with time management for me, just because I was so busy. I was a CA and Julius Sears for forever, and then I did just a ton of stuff outside of it, and so I would double book myself and then make an idiot of myself. And I remember coming to Mark Constantine with the SAC. We literally planned the SAC deliberation meeting, and I knew when it was, but I planned a trip where I was flying out of state during it. Do you remember this?
I do.
Oh my gosh, I was so panicked. I was so embarrassed because it's the most important thing that you do in Student Allocations Committee. And I just went to him and I apologized and I told him the situation, and I mean, I was young and that was the mistake that had been made, and Mark is an understanding person, and he's a leader that is going to take you with him, and they actually rescheduled the meeting for us, which was, I mean, he didn't have to do that, but I think they have grace because they know that we're students, and that was really appreciated, and we ended up doing the weekend after, and then a global pandemic hit, so it was really awesome. I really appreciated that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions? Any last questions? Seeing as no further questions, thank you so much for coming in today. Sophie, I really appreciate it. First of all, really sorry for having it YMCA and not YMCA. I will correct that for future meetings. But yeah, it's always great to have like speakers come in and talk to senators. Just for other people who are joining in today, I will be looking and having more speakers come in and speak to our senators, because it's very inspiring. I myself am really inspired to hear how you have used your Senate experience into your professional life. So yeah, we really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll give you my email, and you can email it out to the senators, and if you have any questions.
Sounds great. Sounds good. Thank you. So our next presentation is from Kellyanne Plank, and she will be joining us over Zoom. I have some handouts to give out to senators, so I'm going to just move them in both directions.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Sweet. Okay, so my name is Kellyanne Flink, and first of all, I would like to applaud your service. I think it's an important thing that you are doing in terms of giving to the students, but also a valuable learning experience for yourselves. And so I applaud that, and anything I can do to support you on your journey, I want to do that. So I have been here for 35 years, and I am a librarian, and I have taken almost all of the student affairs classes. I didn't get the degree, but I have taken like all of the basic student affairs, careers and counseling and one thing or another. So I'm pretty well versed in student affairs kinds of things. And so many of the projects that you might end up doing might be either student affairs or academic affairs oriented. And in either case, there will be information resources that will help you, formulate your questions as well as your responses. I'm not going to link on all of these. And does everybody have the hard copy print out of it?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things I want you to know is that you could just make an appointment with me, and your speaker has graciously said that you could use an appointment time with me as your office hours. So, but here's some of the things I just want you to think about as you think about projects that you might want to work on. What is the issue? Define the population, the problem, the proposed solution, who are the stakeholders, and who are the decision makers. Does the student rights and responsibilities, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, are they covered there? Because that's your basic document. What student government committees might be interested or act as allies for whatever your project is? Who is directly impacted? Both statistics and demographics, not just a number, but who are the component parts of those numbers? Who is indirectly impacted? Same thing. Who are the stakeholders and powers that make the decisions, and what's the policy now? So if you look at this policy page, you will see that there's an A to Z list of all of the policies on campus, and there's a lot of them. And so whatever it is that you're thinking about for your project, you might want to just check through this and see if there's any existing policy that somehow pertains. Okay? So I'm going to go back to that share on this page. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share and do a new share. You want to study the organizational charts. So if you click on that link, and I sent this electronically as well, you can see who are the people in student affairs, in academic affairs, etc. Are there state policies and laws that guide? So you can go to the Minnesota State Legislature, and one of the things that I did want to show you, for example, is next year, anybody who has been in foster care will be eligible for some higher education grants. So that's new. It's just going to take place next year, and but it's a law. So sometimes the thing that pertains is the state law. Okay, and then I'm going to go back, and hopefully this will go back. Are you seeing the worksheet for senators, Ken?
Sorry, what?
Yes.
Are you seeing this worksheet for senators again?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. So are there Minnesota state policies that guide? So you can click on that, do a search within it for policies, and you'll see all of the Minnesota state policies. For example, general education is determined not by us, but by Minnesota state policy, so that people can easily transfer from institution to institution. So that's just one example. Are there professional standards? So there are accreditation boards. Like if you're majoring in alcohol and drug studies, there are some accreditation standards that will determine your education. It's outside of MSU, it's outside of Minnesota. It is the accrediting board that makes those determinations sometimes about what you have to do and how you have to do it. Is there research out there? So one of the things that I've put together over the years is just a student affairs LibGuide. So one of the things that might pertain for you guys is all of these research websites. So there's Institute for Higher Education Policy, iPads, Minnesota Office of Higher Education is the biggie. That is the one that's going to have the richest data about Minnesota, whether developmental classes, who gets in, who graduates, retention rates, et cetera, et cetera. So there's lots of things in here that I think might be valuable for you. And so take a look at that. One of the main things, though, that I think might be interesting for you is, you can see if there's research on campus. We used to do nationally comparative data from different campuses on everything from critical thinking, writing, et cetera. But we do on campus have gen ed assessments that are worth something. So if you want to do original research, you can contact Caesar downstairs in the library. They will help you formulate a research strategy and conduct your research, et cetera. One of the things you might want to do is just to see if other campuses are experiencing something that you're concerned about. So what you do for that one is you go into the university library site, and then you go into the journals list and look for University Wire, okay? So in University Wire, you can do things like COVID impact college students. So what you've got here is a bunch of full text articles, and these are going to come from the university papers from around the country. And so they'll say, like, we're doing this, we're doing that, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that will often be a rich source of things that you're either thinking about, or you just want to see if there's other college campuses that have struggled with some of the same issues, and maybe even done some studies on their campus, or that they have pointed the way about some research that might need to be done on our campus through some of the activities that they did. So that was, I hope, super brief, and I will entertain any questions.
Thank you. Do I have any questions at this point? Any questions? Any questions? Senator Hope?
It's not a question, but an appreciation that she had put so much work into getting us this worksheet for us. Even because with all of us, new or old, this is like a stepping stone, and we can use this as a guideline for every single project we have, and knowing what we'll be talking about, and knowing how we'll be going forward with it, instead of just having a blank page, and having every single resources to us, known and unknown to us, and making sure it does happen for all of us.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you. President Stick?
Also, kind of a comment rather than a question. So a lot of your projects might be research-based, so you might have, you say there's an issue on campus, someone might say, well, how do you prove that? How do you know? How do you know it's not just you bringing it up and your constituents are actually bothered by it? So again, thank you, Kellyanne, for giving us this. This is how you find a lot of that research-based evidence that you need. So thank you again, Kellyanne, and this is how you guys do it.
Thank you. All right. Do I have any further questions? Senator Roberts?
Can this document also be sent by email to you, just so we have
Yes.
a place to click the links as well?
Yes, I will send it to everybody over an email as well. Do I have any further questions? Any further questions? Seeing as no further questions, thank you so much, Kellyanne, for coming in today. I think it was a super important presentation, and all of us can take a lot of information out of it, and it's going to be very helpful. So thank you for your time. All right, moving on to our next order of business, which is open forum. Do I have anyone for open forum today? Dean Brenda Flunley?
I would love to present a little bit if I may. Thank
Sure,
you.
yeah, for sure.
So thank you so much, President Stiff and Speaker Khan and Vice President Cervical. It's I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Say your
It's a hard name. It's Subversal.
Subversal.
Yes.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to be able to join you today and share with you a little bit about the College of Business, but more importantly, if I can, I'd love to tell you a really great story about two senators that did some great work last year, and the continuation of their work this year. Last year, Senators David Alamo and Manav Mandoka, I don't know if any of you have the pleasure to work with them, but yes, excellent senators. And they really wanted to focus on the student experience. And for their project, they really started to start looking at, even during COVID, this idea of providing more students with real-world experiences. And they presented at a college faculty and staff meeting last year on Zoom. They began to come up with ways to talk with faculty about it, including even more projects in their courses. And based on some of the work that they started, we came up with an idea of them actually continuing their work during this year. And we're launching a brand new student leadership team in the college called the Student Executive Team. And they are leading it, and they have a pretty significant budget in which they hired additional students. And they are really trying, I've really tasked them with being part of our leadership team to take the college into the future. And so they have 4 priorities as a student executive team: to develop new opportunities that lean towards experiential education, to link current students to pre-existing opportunities, to do event planning to provide students with even more opportunities to network and to develop their own leadership abilities, and then to outreach to high schools to bring new students to the university through the high school outreach. And they have hired 11 other individuals that are part of the team. We have our first event on November 10th, which is going to be an advisory day. There's panels, and the student executive team is working with members of my professional advisory council to offer a student conference to business students. So I'll just pass around. This is just a PowerPoint, couple of slides that show you David and Manav's team, and like I said, some of the mission of the organization. But this, really started with their project as student senators, and we continued to meet last year and really came up with a way to continue their passion around having more experiential learning opportunities for students. And so just thought that would be of interest for you to know that really the work that you do when you are in student government can have long tails and can continue to make a difference. And I'm thrilled this year to be working with the new College of Business senators, Riley and Senator Riley and Senator Sean, and we began meeting and started to talk about what their projects might be. It's really a priority of the College of Business to provide our students with real world learning experiences. I also have just if you want to know a little bit more about the College of Business and the kinds of experiences that we are working to provide students, one of them is called the Integrated Business Experience. I don't know if any of you have heard of that program, but we're super proud of it because it really is a cutting-edge learning experience where students, this is just at a glance for the College of Business, and inside we have a listing of real-world experiences. And one of those is the United Prairie Bank Integrated Business Experience, where students take 4 courses. They actually take 3 courses, and they take a lab experience where they start their own business, and they apply for a real loan from a bank. They organize themselves as a company. They run the company during the semester, and then at the end of the semester, during this semester, They also choose a nonprofit, a community nonprofit that they want to make a difference in. And any profits they have, they donate to that local nonprofit. And over the last 7 years that we've been doing this program, over $100,000 has now been donated to local nonprofits, like food shelves and after-school programs for kids, and just really making a huge difference. So you can be definitely a business student and make a difference in your community. That really is very much part of the mission and the vision of our university, and proud to support that. So that's a little bit about the business school, and again, about something specific with the student executive team that we're doing new this year to really give students and leadership opportunities and make change happen. So I'll stop there.
Thank you. I will start with taking questions. Vice President Zawerso.
Dean Flannery, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming out. I met with Senator Carlson and Senator Chimazie earlier this week, and was really impressed to hear from both of them that you're not just meeting with the senators monthly, which is what we expect from most senators, but you're actually meeting bi-weekly. And so I just think between that and what happened last year with Manav and David, it just goes to show your colleges and you personally, your commitment to working with students. And so I hope everyone take notes, and I'm just really impressed by that.
No,
so
my pleasure. It's so fun. I really appreciate it. And we've had some great meetings already, and yeah, excited about the year. And being really seeing the kind of work that you do and supporting that is an absolute pleasure, and truly what makes being a member of this university community so fun. So yeah, it's really, we're looking forward to a great year together.
Thank you. President Stitt?
I would have to echo what Vice President Spursel said. Dean Flannery, I think your college is being a leader as far as experiential learning. We're having these conversations all over the university about how we can get those outside of the classroom experiences. So I'm very excited for your college and for Senators Riley and Sean to see what they can accomplish this year. And it was pretty awesome seeing what David and Manav accomplished last year as well. So maybe we need to invite them back this year to speak on that.
I think they'd be very happy to come back, and I think they'd be able to share some great things with you for sure.
Definitely. Do we have any other questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing as no further questions, thank you so much for your time, Dean Flannery, today.
Thank you.
All right, do I have anyone else for open forum? Sam.
I was hoping it wasn't me, but someone has to go after Dean Flannery. Folks, just wanted to say hello. Coming for a real quick update on some Maverick Adventures programs. Last week we had a really great program to 7 Mile Creek, and we did a fall colors hike. We had 14 people on the hike. It was really a great success. People really had a good job, or had a good time with it, and the colors were at peak. Let's just say that was planned. I want to tell you about Halloween climbing. We have an event this Saturday at the outdoor rock wall on campus. It's from 1 till 4, and it is a costume climbing event. Your costume cannot impede the safety of your climbing. It needs no capes, but we're expecting a pretty good crowd of folks out at the outdoor climbing wall this Saturday from 1 till 4. We also have something coming up on November 10th. It's an outdoor pizza and s'mores cooking event. We're going to be teaching people how to make pizza from scratch over a camping stove, and we're also going to be offering s'mores. All of that is free of cost on the PA lawn from 1 till 4 on November the 10th. You will see a lot of marketing about it, and I will be back in the days coming to that, but I will stand for questions if anyone wants to ask anything.
Vice President Spursel, yes. Is there a limit on how many people can go to the pizza s'mores thing?
Technically, physically, there is a limit, but we are not paying attention to the limit. We are ready to serve as many as possible.
Great.
To be honest with you, I'm planning for over 150 people.
Love to hear it.
Senator Carlson.
Is the event something we need to sign up for?
Negative, it's just show up. We're going to be out there from 1 to 4. I do recommend maybe planning a half an hour if you'd like to partake in the pizza experience. Obviously, you can consume a s'more in a lot less than half an hour.
Senator Roberts.
For those of us who do not have a map in front of us right now, where is the PA lawn?
Yeah, the PA lawn is the Performing Arts lawn. There's a great little foyer area. Mr. Cowan might know the entitled space. I think it's called
Jane Rush Gathering.
Jane Rush Gathering Space. But it's a nice little courtyard right in front of the Performing Arts Center, which is the theater. Right by the MavFam sign, you'll be able to see us. That seems to be a new landmark.
Awesome. Senator Novak.
This is less of a question for you and more of a comment for my fellow senators. November 10th is going to fall on a Wednesday. 1 to 4 would be shortly before our Senate meetings. Of course, our committee starts at 3, but I would say that it would be absolutely wonderful to see as many senators as possible come out to that. At around, let's say like 2 to 3 would be a wonderful time slot for all of us to show up there, go get in on some of the s'mores and pizza that Sam's talking about.
We're gonna have a portable fire pit blasting a really nice fire out of a solo stove. So there will actually be a campfire right there in that space.
Thank you. President Stick?
When speaking about bonding events, it just might be a good idea to talk to our coordinators about if it could just be a committee thing that day to visit.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Out on the PA lawn. So during committee time, possibly just the entire Senate going out there. So yeah, we'll talk to our coordinators.
Great. Do I have any other questions? Any other questions? Seeing as no further questions, thank you, Sam, for coming in today and speaking with us. All right, do I have anyone else for open forum? Anyone for open forum? Anyone on Zoom for open forum? Seeing as we do not have anyone else for open forum, we're going to move on to our next order of business, which is approval of consent agenda. Do I have any dissent on the approval of consent agenda? Any dissent? Any dissent? Seeing as no dissent, the consent agenda is approved. Moving on to next order of business, which is officer reports. I'm gonna start with President Stiff.
Oh, hello everyone. So welcome back to Senate. To start off, we're going to start off with some appointments I'd like to make sooner rather than later. Students United is still looking for committee members for our board positions. So our boards include legislative priorities, so you kind of get to decide what we'd advocate for at the federal level. If you don't know, as a president, I am a board member of Students United, and so every spring break, I travel with my board to Washington, D.C. to kind of advocate for student initiatives, affordability in college, and some other things. And so you would then get to decide what I and the rest of my board members advocate for on that trip to DC. We have system priorities, and in that committee you decide what type of things we advocate for at the system level, so state level. And then we have internal affairs, which you can decide what we day-to-day discuss in our board meetings. And so we're looking for 5 appointees to each of these boards, so 2 for legislative, 2 for system, and 2 for internal. And if you are part of these boards, I think they give you a $20 gift card each semester, so a small incentive, but think about it, please. Next thing is we have some conference room bookings. I know a lot of people are interested in using the conference room in the student government office, so if you are interested in using that room, you can just contact our office manager, Amber, and she will be able to book it for a time for you. We need a policy consultation committee representative. So on this committee, you would kind of decide what policies not come up for review, but you would be able to help about policy review and some things like that at the university level. So we are looking for 1 representative for this committee. And then last but not least, we are looking for someone to represent the search committee for diversity, recruitment, and retention coordinator. And this is a committee that's looking for a DE&I, diversity, equity, inclusion coordinator. The search would start in November 1st and end in January. There'll be 4 to 5 meetings for 1 to 2 hours each. And so again, this will count as office hours as always, and so we're looking for 1 representative on that. I can pass around some sheets and let everyone know about that.
Senator Nowak?
Howdy. With regards to the board applications for the General Students United, would you happen to know what times they meet?
So all of these meet online over Zoom, but I can get back to you on that. I do not know.
Alright.
These are board committees though, and so there are also Minnesota State like system-wide committees. On those, you would get paid a stipend to sit on, not outside of just like the $20 gift card.
Senator Roberts?
On the policy review committee, do you know when that meets?
I have not gotten information on that either, but I can get back to you.
Okay.
Senator Hope?
Could you repeat the committees again? Sorry, I missed out. Waiting. I lost half of it. So.
It's a lot. So Students United, we are looking for representatives for the Legislative Priorities Committee, the System Priorities Committee, and then the Internal Affairs Committee. And we are also looking for a representative for Policy Consultation Committee and a committee representative for the Diversity Recruitment and Retention Coordinator. And I can email all this out again too.
Do I have any other questions? Any other questions? Any questions from Zoom? All right, moving on to Vice President Saverso.
Hello guys, so I have a few things for you today. The first thing is we have been participating in the Senate Capital Investment Tour thing that happened yesterday. So basically senators from the state capitol came to campus and heard a bunch of requests / like proposals for both community improvements for the bonding and also school stuff. And so we had a nice dinner, talked to some legislators, and then we actually went on a tour around campus so that they could see firsthand. Do we have any College of Education senators in here? If not, okay. Well, they were very impressed by the College of Education classroom simulator. I swear we spent like 7 minutes in there where they just kept asking them questions. I'm like, they're pretend kids. They're not real. But so that was kind of cool to see them get so engaged firsthand in the campus. The next thing I have is we are making progress on our student basic needs initiatives. Specifically, I'm thinking about what we were calling the Student Basic Needs Hub. We have rebranded to the Maverick Wellness Center. And we are meeting with Kelly Meyer to kind of polish up our proposal, and next week we will be meeting with the social work department to talk about their collaboration in it. The next thing is one-on-ones. I had some one-on-ones today, this week, those went great. If you have not heard from someone asking you to schedule a one-on-one, let me know after the meeting, but hopefully you've been hearing from people on getting those scheduled, if not already have them. And then the last thing I want to say is this weekend is Halloween weekend, which is going to be a lot of fun. But I also want you guys to make good and smart choices and be mindful of what you post, because it can be tied back to student government. So like, unfortunately, our leadership doesn't end when we leave this room. So just like be thoughtful, hopefully in your actions, but at least in what you post, you know? So that way we don't have to deal with something we don't want to deal with. So yeah, but have fun. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Senator Riley?
Speaking of Halloween, are we still doing that room?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, we're not. We're not doing that. And the whole reason for that is our meetings run for longer than the time that they're asking for setup. So it would not give senators enough time, and I did not want to rush our speakers today because we had some great presentations, so we decided not to go ahead with that. All right, do I have any other questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing as no further questions, we're going to move on to the last officer report of the day, which is my report. Again, I had some great one-on-ones with senators. It was great to hear about your progress, your resources. Some of you are still looking for projects to work on, so keep looking. What else? Something that I did get out of those meetings was if you have an idea in your mind that you want to convert that into your senator project, do your research, which is the whole reason we had Caroline come in today, and speak with you about research is because a lot of times we have great ideas, but you want to tie them back to something that is already happening on campus. There's a lot of departments on campus, there's a lot of resources on campus, which honestly, we don't know about all of these resources. I often find out about so many new resources, which I'm surprised to know about. So do your research, collaborate with other senators. If you, at this point, still do not have a clear idea of what your senator project looks like, collaborate with other senators who are already working on something that you are passionate about or you can be interested in, because we're only left with 1 month of school. So I don't want you to get started with something that you have a pressure of that, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do it at the end of the semester. Instead, make a plan of what you can achieve by the end of this semester. And if there is potentially something that you would want to continue with next semester, because our Senate will go for 2 semesters, so we still have another semester, but have something that you can report back on, because you will have the platform to come and speak in your officer reports that this is my project, this is all the progress I made, and this is the result, or this is my deliverable. So yeah, be mindful of what you want your project to be. Do your research, see if this is something that's already done and if something that you can add to it, and you should be good to go. There is a training video that we filmed at the start of the semester, if you guys remember, when we had the special election and we hired all the new, we elected all the new senators. We did a training video and we had ID Solutions recorded for us. We finally have the edited video, and I will be sharing that link with you guys today or tomorrow if you want to go back, and if there's something that you missed or you just want to check what were your expectations as a senator. That video will be sent out to you, and that will also, I was planning on sending it to only the new senators, but I think I'm going to send it to everybody, just something that you can look back to if you need to. What else? Office hours are due this Friday. I still have a list of senators who, a lot of you guys have reached out to me, but there's still, I believe, 3 or 4 senators who I have not heard back from up until now about the office hours that were not either proper or just not submitted at all. But if you don't submit this office hour, I'm gonna have to put your name down for the standards committee. Please don't put yourself in a position like that, and don't put me in a position, because I like all of you and I still want to have a good conversation with all of you. So let's just do what is expected out of us. It's just 6 office hours that you need to submit, so submit on time. If you're having problems on presence, it's a new website, a lot of us are having problems on that. You can simply just email me your office hours. I'm hoping that everyone know what office hours are at this point. Still, if you have any confusion, just email me. That this does not make sense to me. So just email me, I'll respond to you, but this Friday by noon, your office hours are due. Again, 6 office hours bi-weekly. Don't submit office hours from September. That was already due earlier this month. So that's it. Do I have any questions at this point? Senator Wink.
So in our meeting yesterday, you talked about how we can make ourselves available and use that as our office hours for our constituents to discuss matters with us. How would we get that out to the public so our constituents know that we are a resource that is available to them?
So what we want to do for that is you will let us know, and we would want to use our social media platforms to promote that. And something that actually I wanted to talk to all of you guys about was when we're talking about our conference room, a lot of times it's a good idea to have senators do their office hours in their conference room. If it makes sense for you to do it in College of Business or CSET or your college because you think that would help your students better, do it there. But if you don't have any other proper place, I think it would be better to have you guys do your office hours in the conference room, so that because a lot of times we have students come in and ask questions. And usually one of us are available to answer those, but having senators in the conference room would just be more visible to students that there's senators to answer questions. So if you're doing your office hours in conference room, let me know. Let any three of us know about it, and we will promote it on our social media. Share that with your dean. Share that with the administration you're working with, so that if they are getting questions, they can tell that, oh, there's a senator who holds office hours at this time, and this is how you can reach them. So like, share it with us, share it with your dean, share with your admins, and we'll also promote that on our social media. Any other questions? Any last questions? Any last questions? Seeing as no questions, my last thing on the report is Dean of the Day, which is Dean Brenda Flannery. We had a great presentation from her earlier in the meeting. You will just come in and take the opportunity to share anything.
Thank you, Madam
You're so
Speaker. So I kind of went out of order, so I was earlier, but I'm going to take the opportunity to kind of follow up on some things that I'm hearing from all of you. So I've been at the university a long time. I started here 25 years ago as a professor in the Department of Management in the College of Business, and truly I have seen amazing students who have gone on to have amazing careers. And I just want to reassure you that what you're doing by stepping into this leadership role as senators is perhaps one of the most important decisions that you've ever made. I've seen so many senators and so many individuals associated with student government really go on to be great leaders. And so step into this role with the confidence and the knowledge that what you're doing is really important. To your question about, how do you like get your constituents to come and talk with you and to share what their, what issues are really important to them. One of the things I would say is, first of all, you should let your faculty know that you are a senator. Sometimes they don't know. And let them know that you are a senator wanting to make things better for the others in your college. Definitely meet with your deans. Let them know about your passion. Like sometimes, like actually in your classes, let the other students know that you are a senator and you're there to represent them. Being proactive. I like the idea of setting up a space, in the location of where the college is. I'd love for example, to host just a meet and greet in the College of Business, College of Business, perhaps in the Morris Hall Crossroads. So you're going to have to probably go, a little, just think about, okay, what's some grassroots, on the ground things that I can do to be proactive about connecting with students, even if like you have a classmate and say, hey, you want to have a coffee and let me hear, how your experience is going. So being very grassroots, I think, can actually be really powerful. Know that your voice really matters. I think the senator who came from, the YWCA and talked about, she was phenomenal. And her advice to you was really great. Do the work, let your committees be a place where you can really get work done, knowing that your voice really matters. Her advice was great. And I know that you all will make the most of your role here. I think about as I look around, around the table, you being here today means that you have an opportunity that other students don't have. You have an opportunity to use your leadership to make a huge difference. And that time will pass quickly. I mean, to the point of where we're almost like to the end of the semester, which is crazy to think about. I mean, we're almost in November. So every day thinking about what can I do to move forward, and not let the fear of feeling like it's too big keep you from doing something. So it's probably all that I really want to add, we're in the College of Business doing our very best to serve students with a lot of different now needs and interests. We used to really focus on the on-campus student, and now we have more and more students that are also online. We have a brand new Bachelor of Business Administration. It's 100% online for those who can't come to campus, and we're finding that the average number of credit hours that they already have is 70, which but they're also much more diverse. I don't know how the student government also really thinks about how you connect with online students, but it is part of our future, and that the mix of students with definitely many on campus, but with also many online, and because that works for them and allows them to get a college degree when they might not otherwise be able to. So that's one of the new things we're doing in the business school. We have this new 100% online Bachelor of Business Administration. We have a brand new bachelor's degree in agribusiness and food innovation. And a lot of that is really being responsive to our region. It's something that they've wanted for a long time, and so we're excited about moving into preparing the leaders for that industry. We have actually a lot of alumni who are in that industry, ag and food. So those are a couple of new things that we're really working on this year. We have our accreditation visit coming up in a year, and so that's very, very important for us to continue to be a top 5% business school in the world. And that's what our AACSB accreditation means. It means we're among the very best in the world. So there's a lot of standards and a lot of things that we have to really focus on to keep our strength and be an accredited business school. So those are some of our priorities for this year. But I'll stop there and see if there are any other questions.
Thank you for coming in. And do I have any questions for me, Tony? Because we don't have any more questions. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. All right, moving on to our next order of business, which is senator reports. Just a little bit of direction. Senator reports are going to be for 2 to 5 minutes, and then you're going to stand for questions from any other senators. I'm going to start with Senator Hope.
Hi there, everyone. I'll have a little presentation as well to link to all the things that I'll be saying. So today's my senator report. It's the 1027. So my project that I'm working on, 2 of the projects that I'm really looking forward to working on is increase the hours for graduate students for work hours, and the other one is including free feminine hygiene products in all bathrooms throughout campus. Some of the hours that I would think is some of the progress that I have made throughout working on increasing hours for all graduate students would be I have spoken to Dean Welsas, who directed me to Chris Mickey, where I found out that this is not a university problem but a state problem, and that it is mentioned in the state statute of 179A.03. Because of which I have spoken to the Vice President of Students United, who is Arnavi Maltari. We might all know her because she was the Vice President of Student Government last year, where I figured out this is an ongoing issue for every year, and that Students United is going to go forward and ask for an increase this year as well. This has been there for quite a few years right now. And then I have researched on how graduate students need to have an increase in hours for their basic needs, as well as to cope up with all the situations that they're going through. The other progress which I've made on the feminine hygiene products is reached out to the Women's Center, Erin, who's the graduate assistant, and the director, Liz. I will be reaching out to the head of GMWs, as they will be the ones directly involved in distributing the products throughout the bathrooms on campus. And I will be reaching out to the health services as well to make sure that this project can be made possible. This is some of the data that why students actually need to have an increase in hours. As you can see, with assuming that they will be getting minimum wage throughout campus, is that the weekly wage compared to the undergraduate students, as you can see, is that the total amount of wage that they get throughout the year, including if they're working the entire time during summer, is $6,208.84, which is before taxes, and their full year tuition fees are $8,474. We can see a deficit there, that's why it's marked in red. As well as if you can see for undergraduate students, exclude this, all these data is excluded from the housing and expenses that they will be getting it from, is that they get about $11,288 and the tuition fee is $10,970. We can see that they're earning actually more than what they will be paying for the tuition fees. At this point, we can also understand that not all students are eligible for FAFSA and that GA positions are not for everyone. As you can see, we have 1,835 graduate students. This is a data for 2019 to 2020. Here, only 25% of students get GA positions. Not everybody even gets that. And from the 1,835, if you can all do the math, it's about 200 to 200 students who get it. And we can see that not everybody gets, as GA positions are, to get their entire tuition fees paid by the university. Moving forward, we can see that graduate students in depression, if we go into seeing that, there's a significant amount. There was a study conducted by some of the universities across the US where it shows there are more students with depression who are graduate students compared to undergraduates. More graduate students tend to drop out compared to undergraduates, as well as the last, like you can see the pie chart over there on the side. The number 14% is the number who can actually cope with the financial difficulties which students are facing throughout campus, and that's only 14% who are able to do it. And later on, we can see there's a lot for undergraduates as well. But seeing that undergraduate students have more difficulties in paying everything off, it's a big number. Moving on to my next project, the feminine hygiene one, we might all not know what period poverty is. It's got access to feminine hygiene products. And we all know here, we have a lot of girls here, we know how things are difficult for us during sometimes. We do have irregular periods as well, which might not always be well prepared. I might get questions like, okay, fine, we might always have one with us, but not always are we well prepared for it. We do not know when something might happen, and we might not be in a situation to go up to health services or to CVS or to health or to the women's center to get it for free or even pay for it to get it. Why not have it on campus for free? And in the bathrooms, we all know we only get it for like 50 cents, but how many of us are always carrying quarters or even 50 cents with us? None of us. In this day and age, we have cards and we only mostly carry cards at this point. Instead of having it throughout campus, having it paid, having it free, this is a basic need for women on campus. This is not something like, it's not a luxury product. It's something that everybody needs in their daily lives. This study can actually show that, the study which I have posted here, it's actually like snippets of the entire study that was there. There are people who actually face depression during these times, and having a basic need, something like this, is very important. Going forward, some issues that we might have questions of why would a girl have irregular periods? We might not know about it. We have stress, diet, and exercise, which a common student is facing every single day of our lives. We do not have proper sleep, we do not have a proper diet, we do not have proper time to exercise as well. This leads to that. And we also know sometimes when we don't really have any of those, we might be using our products for longer than that. These leads to health issues as well. Not going to go into detail as I do not have much time. Because of which sometimes we might be even shy to go up to a fellow person and asking for it because we might not know who's going to be next to us in the bathroom or something like that. Having it for free would be accessible for all of us. There was a quote from the study, as you might be able to see, the last point there, is that it's safe to say we were unprepared more than once or twice. We might not always have a friend to cover us, and that is when bad luck strikes. There are other universities throughout the US who have made an initiative in order to get free feminine hygiene products on campus, one of which is University of Minnesota. They had it for more than a decade right now. They right now are in 2018. According to the study, they have even trying to advocate to get these products free on high schools, because high school students are somebody who would need it as well than to having to go up to a nurse or somebody like that. University of Nebraska has it, Emory University has it, sorry I mentioned University of Nebraska twice. And then there's University of California, LA, where they're having it for free as well. As it's not only us, there are different universities advocating for it, and there are different nonprofit organizations who actually work with people like this in order to make it free for everybody else. The rest of the time, if I might have any, I will lead to any questions I have or any comments you might have for me.
Senator Nowak.
Howdy. First of all, amazing Senator report. Love the presentation. I would just like to state that actually, in extreme coincidence, in student affairs, we were just talking about this exact issue with relation to the free feminine hygiene products. And I would like to suggest, if at all possible, if you are in need of additional support as well, individuals from student affairs, I'm sure, would be more than happy to help you coordinate with this, especially with some of us acting as residential life senators. Like I personally am more than willing to help fight to try to get free feminine hygiene products in every one of our bathrooms, including, of course, the ones in residential life as well as academic buildings. So in addition, I would just like to offer us up as a resource in the event that you want it.
Thank you so much for that.
President Stitt?
I would also like to compliment you on how organized and prepared your presentation was. It's always nice to see data. And I also like the fact that you brought in other universities, because when they're speaking about issues at our campus, they're probably not isolated to just our campus. So I appreciate that. I also like the fact that you brought up a topic that is sometimes taboo, or I don't know why it's considered taboo still, but it's a great initiative, and I would be more than willing to help support you on this. You also mentioned that this is a basic need, and you already know how me and Kara feel about basic needs. So again, we're very supportive, and thank you for bringing this up.
Thank you.
Sen Roberts?
Also wanted to commend you on your officer report. I also wanted to, as we've talked about earlier today and last week, offer as a resource in terms of graduate students and in terms of, on the other side of the picture, of unionization efforts by graduate students right now who are working to form a union to do something about the limits, but the other problem of pay being way too low.
Thank you.
I forgot to mention it. I'm so sorry, but I had it on my notes for some reason. I forgot to. I looked over it for some reason. I have no idea why.
Senator Nowak, do you still have a question?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can go.
Howdy, it's me again. I've got a second thing. So with relation again to the feminine hygiene products, you were talking about how other schools have implemented them. Have you looked into implementation measures done by them as to how they swap them out, how frequently they've swapped them out, whether or not they have placed feminine hygiene products in both male and female labeled bathrooms / gender neutral bathrooms, if hopefully they have them, or additionally if there was any concern as far as like budgeting is aware as far as that, just to make sure that we are able to fully hammer out an ironclad process to do this.
I actually have gotten into that. I did not like put it into my Senate report. It was going to make it too long. Other universities have actually, there were examples of students actually needing it and not having it, using 2 bobby pins in order to open it up and having them stop over it so that students can get it. It was something they had done. That is something that sparked the entire conversation. They had gotten funding from different, as I was saying, there's a non-profit organization. I forgot the name at this point, but I can definitely get back to you with that. They reached out to them. They're a Minnesota-based organization who actually sometimes for the first few months would be willing to provide us with those. Later on with UFM and University of Nebraska, they have actually worked with their health services or their departments there for their hospitals, because UFM has actually Mayo Clinic linked with them in their campus. So they actually reached out to them in order to get some of them from there. Speaking of budget, this is not going to be a huge budget because not everybody would need it. Having it gender neutral, thinking about it, we already have it on campus and not everybody is using it. We can have it swapped out every other week because not everybody needs it from there. So having it done from there, or even using the ones we have right now, would be reducing the budget. We might need to consider how many people are using it for the first few times that we will be having it there, in order to have the budget dedicated there to know how much we will be needing. In that case, we would be required to increase in a small incentive from other students, maybe a cent or two more from other students who will be willing to use it, or from the health services incorporated in with their budget in order to have it provided throughout all the bathrooms.
Thank you. Senator Carlson?
Hi, I really enjoyed your presentation. So one of the things, I hate using the word free because nothing here that we get is free. Technically, students are always paying for something. So I just want to make sure that like when we're looking at this, like that it's not necessarily gonna be like a student's extra cost, because like we said, it is like a basic need, and it, not to throw it on the university, but more is a university cost versus putting more fees on students.
I will definitely look into that as well. Thank you so much for that.
Senator Bassett?
I am actually very grateful that you have also chosen the same project that I also hope into. It is absolutely honor to just collaborate with you. I just find out that you have joined the same project, and I would love to collaborate with you. Yeah, and I just adore your presentation. Just want to see that.
I'm open to anybody who wants to collaborate with me. Like I am collaborating with Senator Roberts on my graduate assistantship, increasing the hours. I would be definitely very willing to work with you as well, because having something done is not only myself, but it's for the entire community and for all the campus students.
Senator Novak?
Hello, me again. With relation, you said that you wanted to see if it was at all possible to reutilize a lot of the existing infrastructure we have as far as distributing feminine hygiene products. A lot of those, I am aware, are currently paid. That requires you to pay to utilize them. Is it at all possible to attempt to substitute some of those out to make them free, as they are part of a basic need? And potentially, as Senator Carlson was talking about within the budget, I was wondering, I would think that this would be able to fall under a budgeting need as far as providing for student necessities and resources. I'm not entirely sure of the exact specifics on that, but if it is at all possible to replace some of the paid slots with free ones.
I've not looked into that yet, but I'm definitely looking forward in trying to make sure that they will be free, because we have a lot of unused spots or unused cabinets. As we go around campus, we will see if any department sometimes even donates to other departments or are willing to give it to us, because they sometimes end up going to surplus. Instead of that, they might come to different bathrooms, like small cabinets where we can stack them up on it so that people would know what they are and know that they're there for. I was looking for something like that, but not entirely well researched on that part yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to working on and looking forward to all of those in the coming days.
Thank you. President Stitt?
I forgot to ask you, Senator Hawk, are you planning, if you're comfortable answering this, are you planning on going to graduate school here?
Well, I'm not really sure at this point, but it's something that I took up was because I have friends who are in the graduate program right now, and I see their difficulties, and I have been seeing a lot of people with the same difficulty. I had my sister go to Winona State University. I have seen it firsthand from her as being a student over there. I'm not sure if I'll be going to call graduate students here, but at least if it's not for myself, but for any other student who's going to be going to graduate school or are willing to go for it, it might be something for everybody else and not only myself.
Yeah, I was just going to commend you, since I didn't know if you were going here or not. It's so nice of you to still try to do this project, even though you're not a graduate student here yet, that you're still interested in doing this for graduate students.
Thank you. Do I have any questions? Any last questions? Any questions? Seeing as no further questions, it was a great senator report.
Thank you.
Great presentation, great topics. Thank you for all the senators who are willing to collaborate. I know that Senator Bassett is doing a similar project and wants to be a part of it. So let's do some collaborations and let's work together. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Next senator report I have is from Senator T. Schaefer.
I'm Jane T. Schaefer. I'm a CSET senator, for those who don't know me. And so my senator report, so I have a friend who's actually on the student government at University of Minnesota Duluth. And last year they did a program called the Bulldog Lift program. They started it last spring semester, so it hasn't even been a full year yet of them having it. But every month, students get sent an email, and they get 2 $5 coupons for like free Lyft rides. So you can apply that to your Lyft account. They made this to prevent like drunk driving, and I talked to her about it. So just once a month, all the students get sent an email, and you just click the link, and then it gets applied to your Lyft account. If you obviously have to create one. And then you can just use 1 coupon per ride. It expires at the end of the month, so you can use them whenever you want. You don't have to use it to prevent drunk driving, so if you did want to go to the grocery store, you could use the coupon that too. And I did some research. So actually in Mankato, Lyft is more expensive than Uber, but in Duluth, Lyft is cheaper. So I just did like Friday and Saturday night from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. because that's usually when people go out. From campus to the Square Deal, which is a bar downtown Mankato. For Uber, it's $8.44. And for the same thing, Friday, Saturday night, from campus to Square Deal. For Lyft, it's actually $18.80. So that's almost a $10 difference for the same, getting to the same place, the same amount of people. I think it was like 3 people. So I definitely would be way more interested in looking into Uber, since $10 is a big difference for college students to pay. And I did set up a meeting with the Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Life at Duluth, Corbin Smythe. And so we will be meeting next Tuesday, and he said he would give me, we're just going to meet over Zoom, and he said he could share his screen and give me like a full rundown of how they started this program, where they get the funding from. And then he said he'd even go into his Lyft account to see like how many people access it. And so I guess if the president or vice president want to join in on that, they'd be more than welcome to. And then that's just what I'm going to do next. So once I kind of get the rundown of how they do it, then I'd like to start doing more work here at Mankato.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Senator Nowak?
Yeah, since we are aware that Lyft and Uber are relatively more expensive, and to send 2 $5 coupons a month to each student, we have 15,000 students at this college. I'm aware that that would be a large undertaking as far as funding is concerned. Are you aware if there's any way to subsidize or potentially get a discount for maybe buying in bulk there, to see if that is any more manageable, or would that be something that you would not be aware of until after your meeting?
Yeah, I actually met with John too, and he gave me like a good list of questions asked, and I was gonna ask them that. And I asked my friend, and she said that they only pay for the ones that get used. So I think that does also, because obviously if everyone like made it to their account, probably not all students would use both of them every month. So they only pay for the ones that do get used. Even if they apply to your account, if you don't use them and then they expire by the end of the month, they only pay for the ones that got used. But yeah, I was gonna ask him that and just see where they got the funding from, and if there is a deal, since they would be buying in bulk, obviously through Uber or Lyft.
Senator Roberts?
I think one of my concerns is a $5 coupon enough to deter drunk driving, if it's still going to cost money? Because some students might not, I hate to put it this way, might not have that $3 to get home.
Right.
Why not have it, and I get that it might be more expensive, but why not have it as 2 free Uber rides?
Yeah. I was also, last year, they actually, obviously their funding must have gotten cut a little bit, because last year it was 3 $8 Lyft rides at Duluth, and now it's only 2 $5 ones. And so that was my debate too, because obviously
you would still have to pay technically, but last semester, my friend said that it would cover the whole, because theirs was about like $8.50 or something like that, so they only paid like 50 cents. But I would more want to just do like 2 free Uber rides, because I definitely think that even though $3 is less than $8, it could definitely like hinder people from using it. So I was gonna also ask why the funding got cut a little bit from last year to this year.
Senator Wayne?
So this is more of a comment than a question. Just wanted to put it out there as an off-campus senator and somebody who has used both Uber and Lyft here in town. I'm more than willing to help you on this project, especially given that it's directly involving our student safety. So if there's anything I can do to help, let me know.
Okay, awesome. I'll reach out. Thank you.
Senator Carlson?
Hi, thank you. I was just wondering if you could also ask them, like, what percentage of students, like, of the tickets are used? Just to, like, see how many students are actually using the program that they put out there. I don't know if John already recommended that, but it would just be good to see that, you know, what percentage of tickets are being used.
Yeah.
And then also a comment with that would be maybe instead of one free like, you do 1 free trip, but there's a limit on the miles of where you're going, because that would keep the price lower.
I'll definitely ask that. That was a good question.
Awesome. Senator Roberts?
I think another thing that might be potentially interesting is maybe talking to the city about extending bus services late on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those nights in which students tend to go out and party. And maybe that might be a better solution that saves the school a little bit more money.
All right. Do I have any other questions? Senator, President Stiff, I'm so sorry.
Sorry. Just a comment, I really like the idea of this project, and I think it'd be monumental if you could like get this done. I also like the fact that you're meeting with a vice chancellor at another school, so that's pretty cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, no further questions. I just want to appreciate how senators this semester are going out of their way and reaching out and researching about other universities. It's great to see that you're exploring things out of just our school and taking their experience and learning from it. So great job on your report.
Thank you.
And thank you. All right, our last senator report of the day is from Senator Wynn.
Hello everyone, so I'm Victor Wing, I'm an off-campus senator. So recently I've been working on the packing project. That's why I called, so go to more detail about it. So the reason I picked the project because I know many of my friends. Hi?
Yep.
Okay. So many of my friends, they have a car and they park on the free parking lot. And in the busy hour, it took them like 10 to 20 minutes to find a spot on the free parking lot. And when we look over on the brown and the orange parking lot, it's usually like 1/3 or even 1/4 of the spot are filled. The capacity is not used enough. So one of my goals is try to lower the price on the brown and the orange permits, so more students can switch from the free to the brown or the orange. It's a win-win situation for also students and university. Students on the university can make more money, and also it's make it easy for students to find the spot on the free, on the brown, or the orange. So recently I talked to Mr. David Cowan about it, and also John, and he sent me a lot of email about it. And also he said like the discount on the spring is beginning to kick in from $76 to $50 on the spring for the order permit. And I talked to President Steve and Vice President Salvoso, about it. And the idea is about combine all the three, the brown and the orange into one. So it's gonna make like an automatic fees on the e-service, so all the students can pay, not to pay an additional fees for the parking lot. And so also David invited me to the Parking and Transportation Advisory Committee on November 5th. So I plan to be there and to discuss and understand more about the whole situation.
Awesome. I will take the first question from Senator Nowak.
Howdy.
Yeah.
So I think that there's kind of two very different approaches that could be taken here,
Yeah.
which is either reducing the cost of orange enough to where there's steep enough demand in order to like meet it, to peter it out and equalize it.
Yeah.
And then there's also the approach that is currently being taken by Rihanna and Kara that you said that you were potentially interested in as well, which is rolling all of those lots into one lot and covering that as a student fee. Can I ask, do you have a particular direction between the two of those that you hope to be going in and you hope to work on?
So I plan to go for the first one is lower the fees for the purpose on brown and the orange, then combine all of them to one.
Thank you. Senator Bassett? Sorry, is it Senator Hope?
Yeah.
So my question is, as you plan to make both the orange and the free parking lots the same and putting it into the student fees, how do you think you'll be managing the students who do not have a car and are not using the parking lots or anything like that, any of those, and putting it like a fee, imposing it on the students who don't even have a car but still having to pay for something like that?
Yeah, that's one of my concerns. That's why I go with the solution one, to lower the price on the orange and the brown rather than combine all of them to one. And there's difficult to find like who have a car, who doesn't have a car. So yeah.
All right, Senator Roberts?
Why not try to propose a reduction of fees across all lots? Not just brown and orange, but also purple and gold as well.
I think I will like be more on the November 5th when I on the meeting with all the implementation.
Senator Wang, I'm gonna ask you to use the mic so that
Okay,
people over Zoom can also hear. Vice President Ursul.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I'm excited to meet with you tomorrow or Friday, one of those days, to talk more about this. To answer some of the questions that are coming up about cars and if you're not parking on campus, why should you pay for it? Well, the parking passes, or at least a significant chunk of that revenue, is going towards busing and lot maintenance and all of that stuff that everybody, likely if you're not parking, you're using the bus, and likely if you're using the bus, you're probably not parking. And like, so it's just kind of like a patchwork approach to pay for it. And so that's why, you know, we're gonna look at all the different approaches to see like what's the most effective way to pay for this. And then also, as we talk about reduction of fees, we need to be careful that that doesn't mean reduction of busing services. And so trying to figure out, you know, it could just be a different way of paying for it. But the dollar amount of what is required isn't gonna get lowered. It's just how do we spread it out and allocate it. So that's something that I'm excited to talk to you about on Friday, and just like things to think about as we talk about this in committee and stuff.
Awesome. Do I have any last questions? Seeing as no further questions, good report, Senator Wang. All right, moving on to our next order of business, which is vacancies. Once again, I will be going over the vacancies we have. We have an off-campus senator, another off-campus senator. We have an allied health and nursing senator. We have college of education senator, social and behavioral sciences senator, arts and humanities senator, which was introduced last week, and then social and behavioral sciences senator, which I'm announcing today. So the election for the second social and behavioral sciences senator will be held 2 weeks from now. And for arts and humanities, the election will be held from next week. So please encourage people you know who would make a good senator to apply for these. As for today, we have one candidate application, and I'm hoping I have Alfredo Pena sitting. So, hello. How this will go is we will start with you can take the floor. You will have 2 minutes to talk about why you are a good fit for the senator. You can talk about your experiences. After that, we will open the floor for questions where senators will ask questions that you can answer. Then we will open the floor for discussion in which we're going to ask you to leave the chamber, just hang out outside, in which time we will discuss and vote. And after the voting period is done, we will ask you to come back. Oh, actually, sorry, I messed it up. After the questions period, you're going to have 1 minute of closing statement in which you can talk about why you're a good fit after answering the questions. And then we're going to ask you to leave the chamber, open the floor for discussion, and then vote. And then you will be asked to come back, and then we will announce the results. Does this all make sense to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So start with your 2 minute introduction.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. You have the
Good
floor.
afternoon, everyone. My name is Alfredo Pena, and my college major is PPE, better known as Politics, Philosophy, and Economics. I have no minor right now. I have not decided. I do not know. I aspire to gain a career in actual government. Outside of this, I feel like being here and learning the way that this institution works will help me understand how actual government might work and how I can manage and maneuver through that kind of domain. Previously, before I came to college, I was in the United States Navy. I was an air crewman, so I flew in helicopters with officers only. I feel like I'd be a really good position for this in the sense that while you're in the helicopter, you're trained that rank doesn't matter. So whether you're talking to someone who's been in the service for 15 years or 2 years, you're all on the same boat, you're all on the same helicopter, so you all have the same voice. Everybody gets an equal voice. And so I was taught that if there was a problem, if there was an issue, to never keep your mouth shut, always say something out loud, and it's up to your crew to help you determine whether or not that is an actual viable problem. Well, I feel kind of silly standing up here listening to Senator Nguyen.
Yeah.
Nguyen, I'm very sorry.
No, it's all right.
I feel silly or a genius, I don't know however you want to see it. But I had the same thought that he did, that the parking problem was an issue. Specifically in the winter months, I mean, there were times that it was really cold and walking from the free parking lot, that 0.9 miles all the way to class, I'm walking backwards, all right? And there's ice, there's snow, there's traffic of other people. It wasn't the most fun of times, right? And so I think it would be very beneficial for off-campus students to be able to have that privilege of being able to park just a little bit closer to campus. The way that I see that that's doable is by deducing the amount of money that, or reducing, I'm sorry, I said deducing. Reducing the amount of money that it costs for each parking pass. So as he brought up, instead it's just, excuse me, my vision is to take a tier approach at all of the different parking lots. So it will be a ratio deduction of those prices. So it wouldn't be a specific amount of money for all lots would be reduced. It would be as ratioed. So as closer you get to the campus, the parking lots, the closer they are, the higher they are typically in price to get. And so that's not to say that all prices are going to be the same for all students, but to reduce the amount in ratio. So, I mean, closer ones would still be more expensive, right? But less expensive overall. I forget, anything else that I'm missing on? I'd like to open it this time up now for questions, comments.
Yeah, you're good. We will open the floor for questions at this point. I will take the first question from Senator Hope.
Hi there, it was really nice to hear from somebody who's passionate about something like this, having a lot of senators talk about it. I would like to have a question and a comment. I'll go with the comment first. There are bus services that goes from the free lot to campus and shuttle services every 20 to 30 minutes to make it free, but I understand that you're concerned, and are you planning, and that was the comment which I have, is that they do have services from the free lot to campus every single 20 minutes. I myself have worked with Mr. Coven throughout, I think, the past 1.5 years to 1 year, and I have seen that very closely. And because of which I know the bus services are there, and there are shuttle services like small, white, cute vans that you will see walking around, trolling around the campus and the free lots. My question to you is, how do you plan to work on your project if not with Senator Wynn? How do you plan to work on it or approach this problem on different levels? In levels, I mean, how do you plan to approach it to different, like for example, Mr. Coven at this point, approaching it there or having different, how do I make it more simple? How do you plan on making this project work if, for example, Senator Wynn wasn't there? How did you plan on making it work at that point, if it makes sense?
Do you mean like if I was alone in this mission?
Yes.
So, I mean, as I've outlined, it would be tiers. So, I mean, it would be as percentages. The higher that the lots are, it would be the same ratio reduced, but because they're bigger numbers, it would be less money taken off from bigger ones. Or I guess I'm doing the math wrong. It would be more money. But I mean, overall, it would still be, the closer parking lots would be more expensive than the further ones. I mean, does that answer your question? I'm not understanding.
So my question there was, when you were saying it like that, when you say tiering it up, like for example, we know gold parking permits are the most expensive compared to the orange or the green ones, for example.
Yes.
So how do you plan on like reducing the percentage over there? If we say, are you like planning on having the same percentage reduction for all, or having it different? For example, orange would be like about 25%, and having to park in gold, it might be 5% or something like that, or do you plan on like reduction for all of them on the same amount?
I understand the question now.
Yeah.
It would not all be on the same one. No, I don't think that that's the way that it would work. I do think the only mission that I'm trying to accomplish is to make it more accessible and to make it make the walk more bearable, I suppose is what I'm saying. To have, on top of students having to commute, right? I mean, we say that, yeah, they have the buses there, but I mean, on top of that, they still have to get across town. It takes 15 minutes to get from downtown to here, and then 15 minutes back downtown. I mean, it is time consuming. And at the end of the day, as an off-campus student, I do still have to work. It's not here on campus. I do have to commute to work. I do have other extracurricular activities that have nothing to do with school or work. I do have family. I do have friends. So all of these things, all time consuming. And so I guess taking that extra 30 minutes out of the day to have to commute would be very beneficial. My first year here at MSU, I actually had a very odd schedule where I would have a morning block for 4 hours, and then I'd be able to go home for like an hour and a half, but then I'd have to come back to campus for another 2.5 hours. So if you add it up, it was a whole 45 minutes just commuting. And I mean, yeah, it might not be huge in one day, but I mean, cumulatively over months and after years, it does add up. It does take away.
Thank you so much. That actually had more elaboration than I expected, but that was perfect.
Thank you. Before I take any more questions, I just want to encourage all the senators to keep the questions a little more simple and like to the point, because we're just trying to see how eligible our candidate is for the position. And yes, after he gets elected, he will have more time to work on these questions. But because we're getting closer to 6 p.m., I will take next question from Senator Flynn.
First off, I want to thank you for your service.
My pleasure.
I was wondering, beyond parking, what is the next biggest thing that you think students in your constituency face?
If I'm being completely honest with you right now, Senator, I just applied for this position last night. I was being hesitant on it last week when David told me about it last week, but I thought, maybe I'm not up for the position. But yesterday we had a Turning Point USA meeting, and he brought it up again, letting me know that it was still open. So I decided to apply. So I'm going to be totally honest and say that I am not sure what follows after this. This was very basic research. I went online and looked up the most top things that off-campus students all over the country were having issues with, just like blogs, Reddit posts, whatever it may be, and that's what came up is that the walk and the time consuming, and then on top of that, the finances, right? So not only does the school not have to pay for their food, their utilities, their board, I mean, all of that is already covered by the student individual. And so to have to say, all right, yeah, you take care of the rest of your life, but then on top of that, you have to pay for parking because you decided to live off campus, you decided to make it less of a hassle for us. I see that as a little bit of a burden on students that live off campus.
Appreciate the honesty.
All right, thank you. Senator Roberts.
First off, thank you for your service. I also wanted to ask you, knowing that typically when veterans come to campuses, they tend to be off-campus students. What issues do you see within the veterans community that you would like to try to solve with campus?
Veterans community, I haven't even attempted to think about that. I mean, the most, if I was to go off a limb, I would have to say therapy. I mean, talking to people just about the experiences that they've had. I mean, even if they didn't go off to war, it's still, it's a difficult lifestyle change to go from military to civilian. It's a downgrade. It is less strict, but it has the nature of that change is drastic to the person. So that would be a therapy. I mean, just someone to talk to. I don't know if that's already available. I assume that it is. I'm not totally sure.
Senator Bassett?
Yep, I really appreciate all of the experience and your thoughts, same as this, on the senator. My question is, you just, around 2 minutes ago, you just mentioned verbally that you just love people to be outspoken and opinionated, right? So you have also mentioned that you love to do the leadership with the team. You love to work with the team. So if, let's say you're working with 2 other senators, collaborating with one of the projects, how would you manage with the team? Tell me one significant way to manage within the team that you are leading on, where all of the members are outspoken and opinionated.
Can you repeat your question one more time?
Yes. You are working with a team where all of the members are outspoken and more opinionated about whatever that is. So how would you manage? Tell me one way to manage that team. How would you work on that team? Because you are a senator, you will be representing one of the community.
So the question is, if I'm working with other senators that are also unspoken, how would I manage them?
Yeah.
Well,
Just to rephrase that, what we're trying to see is if you're collaborating with other senators on your project who, like you, are opinionated and outspoken, how would you manage to work with them towards a same goal so that we can have the results?
well, I'm a philosopher at heart, and so first things first, the team has to have a vision, an equal vision. That's where it starts. And so to start off, if you're going to ask me, you're working with a group of other opinionated people, other outspoken people, the question that comes before that is, what are they outspoken about? That's the question. So if we are unspoken about the exact same thing, there's no need to manage them. We will work together. I don't need to tell them how to live their lives or how to do their jobs. If they are intelligent, smart, driven people, there's no reason that I would need to be there to guide them along. So the work that we would do with those kinds of people is a lot of conversation, a lot of discussion, a lot of debate, a lot of subtleties in arguments and philosophies, obviously, about how and when we can do things morally and ethically. But yeah, it's the final question.
Thank you. Senator Roberts.
I realize no one's asked the critical question yet. What is your greatest strength and what is your greatest weakness?
My greatest strength is my capacity to be able to microanalyze. So as a philosopher, we learn subtleties, we learn fallacies, we learn how to pinpoint them, and we learn how to discuss around those and how to fix them. So my greatest would be my ability to microanalyze. My greatest weakness, I think, would be my arrogance in microanalyzing. I do think that sometimes I am a bit of step ahead. I'd like to call it confidence, but in front of other people, I am truthful in saying arrogance because I understand that from a third person point of view, it might not look that way. So yes, it would be my arrogance, and sometimes I don't think you're thinking about it subtly enough. You're not understanding the subtlety that there is, which, with all fairness, is sometimes very difficult to comprehend and understand.
Thank you. At this point, we're gonna go ahead and do your 1 minute finishing statement, so you can take your time and say why we should all vote for you.
I'm an open mind. Okay, as a philosopher, I learned that first thing is that you have to consider whether you're wrong, right? And I know that's counterintuitive to what I just said about arrogance, but the only reason I'm arrogant is because I ask myself my own questions before anybody else does. I try to ask myself the difficult questions that I cannot answer before someone else does. I found in the past that when you don't ask yourself those difficult questions, other people will. And if you don't have an answer, if you don't have a response, that's ignorance. And I hate ignorance. Hate is a big word. I do not exaggerate either. So, I'm an open mind. I'm open to discussion all the time with people who disagree and agree alike. Also, I'm very compassionate, even when people are wrong. I have to understand where they're coming from, because I've been wrong too, right? We're all human. I've been wrong too, and the thing is that you have to put yourself in that person's shoes and say, oh, well,
Awesome.
I see why.
We have hit the 1 minute for your closing statement. Now I would like you to leave the chamber, but just hang out outside. We're gonna open the floor for discussion, and then we're gonna ask you to come back in for results.
Awesome.
Thank you. Before we enter the discussion period, I would like to encourage all of us to stay relevant to our topic. Let's just not have redundant discussion over the same thing, because we are at 6 p.m. Haunted house setup has already been started. So let's make it quick and efficient. I would like to request ID Solutions to put us on mute for the discussion period.
Recording stop. Recording in progress.
Thank you. And I will have our candidate come back in.
Oh, I don't know who it was, but it looked like a girl. It's Harley Quinn. Oh. I know. What's this?
All right. So we did have an election, and on a vote of 18, we did have an election, and congratulations to Alfredo Pina. You have been elected. All right. So we will go ahead and swear you in. How this will work is you're gonna raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Alfredo Alexis Peña.
Will represent and serve.
Will represent and serve.
Students of Minnesota State University.
Students of Minnesota State University.
Mankato.
Mankato.
In student life.
And student life.
And academic needs.
And academic needs.
And will uphold the mission.
And uphold the mission.
Constitution.
Of the Constitution.
And bylaws.
And bylaws.
Of Minnesota State.
Of Minnesota State.
University Mankato.
University Mankato.
I so.
Affirm. Affirm.
All right, congratulations. You can take a you can take a seat on the table.
On the table?
At the table. Sorry, you can take a seat by the senators.
Under the table.
Not under the table.
Oh, it's under the table.
I mean, we could if you wanted to.
The table's above us.
All right. Moving on to our next order of business, let's just go real quick. For new business, I do not have any new business. Old business, I do not have any old business. Announcement, I have John.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just a couple of things. I want to thank those who came out for the ULEAD conference last week. It was a great success. So those of you who were there, I hope you got something out of it. We've had some great feedback from the event. One of your own, Senator Wynn, even won one of the gift cards for attendees and all of that. So it was a great event and a good success. So we look forward to participation again next year. On a housekeeping item, the haunted house is being set up, and there's extensive setup blocking the hallway down here. So we've been asked to make sure that when you leave, if you leave out this door and exit to the left, if you need to go downstairs in the building's technically closed already for the day. So we're going to ask you to go downstairs from the I call it the grand staircase, the main staircase down here at this end, and then exit the building. Or if you need to get back up to the student government office.
The building doesn't actually close till 7. This floor closes at 6 o'clock.
Okay. But we've been asked to actually have you, go down the grand staircase to get down to the bottom level. So I want to congratulate and appreciate the senators who are doing hard work. As Sophie mentioned, and as I've mentioned before, remember that the real work is done in your committees. So when you've got questions or things to bring up, make sure that you've had those tough conversations, ask those tough questions in your committees. That's what those committees are for, is to actually get that stuff done. So please utilize that well. I've had a lot of meetings with individual senators about projects and stuff like that. Don't be afraid before we meet to bring up your project ideas and ask questions of your fellow committee members. They have probably some knowledge and experience and advice that will help as much as meeting with me. So please take advantage of that and utilize each other. So thank you very much. I'm going to duck out to that off-campus moment. So.
Thank you. Do I have anyone else?
Austin pictures?
The portraits?
Yeah,
yes. They'll be sent out to you this week. So send out to everyone. Actually, they will be uploaded on Teams by the end of this week. So if you guys can access that, let me know and I can help you. But they should be uploaded on Teams for student government. Do I have any last questions, Senator Flynn?
Announcement.
Yes.
RHA will be holding Fall Fest on Monday from 4 p.m., right? Yeah, 4 p.m. to 6. S'mores, caramel apple, are we doing sugar sauce? And crafts, anybody's invited. It's technically for residential life students, but everybody's invited. It's fun. Yeah.
Thank you. Senator Noah?
That's in Prescott 126, correct?
Outside Prescott 126 at the dining hall lawn.
All right. Do I have Senator President Steve?
So I just got a text from President Inch. He is looking for some motivated and interested student leaders to join him in his hockey suite this weekend, this Saturday, for women's hockey, the women's hockey game. So,
The game's at 3.
The game's at 3. So, if any of you are interested in joining President Inch in his hockey suite, you can email me and let me know, and then I will pass that on to him. He has a few free tickets left, and he's looking to get some student leaders with him in the box.
Sounds good. Any last announcements? Mark?
Just want to thank your leadership for giving a few more people to the Student Allocations Committee. Our first meeting is going to be next Thursday, just so you know we started. But we are looking, I still can use 2 or 3 more non-senators. So if you have good people out there that are interested in helping on the Student Allocation Committee, please have them forward their names to on the on-site form. Thank you.
Thank you. Any last announcements? Senator Royger.
I just want to make it known that for the next week and the last week of November / first weekend of December, I'm taking a step back from my Senate project and from committee and everything, as I'm officially an accepted candidate for Miss Mankato 2022.
Ooh, wow. Congratulations. Do I have any last announcements? Please say no. Thank you so much. Moving on. Motion. I will entertain motions at this point. Yes, please.
Motion to waive roll call.
Do I have a second? Do I have any consent? You guys, hold on. All right. So I adjourned this meeting officially at 6 or 10 p.m. Last announcement, please make sure that you're going out of this way and the main door, because all of that area is blocked for haunted house. Thank you guys.
Recording stopped.
Next week, come on.
No, close that one.
Jump against the wall.